Bye, Tim.
Welcome back to another episode of Off Leash. My name is Molly, and I am going to be your main host today. And I am joined by Linda. Linda, I'm going to let you say your last name because it is a mouthful.
Milanesi.
Milanesi. It's so fancy.
Well, it's from Milan, Italy.
I love
where
that.
we are fancy. That's the fashion place in Italy.
Are you from Italy?
I'm not from Italy, but it's Milanesi, Peroni, Fiori, Gangemi.
Okay, I would have never.
I don't have any Irish in me.
And her dogs are named just as fancy.
This is Violetta Fortunata Milanesi.
How did you come up with that?
Well, her name is Violet.
Violet. And when you're in trouble, do you get the full?
Exactly, and that's when everybody knows they better load up.
That's right. You gotta have the full name. The full name.
Uh-huh.
I love it. I love it. So we are here in beautiful Santa Fe, New Mexico. I've never been to New Mexico before. It's my first time.
It's awesome, isn't it?
It's so beautiful. I never knew that I would love like the Southwest vibe. But I got in last night. I walked around for a little bit and I was like, holy cow.
Right?
People here have class. It's so beautiful. And all the buildings are so uniform, I guess. Like they all have to follow a certain guideline when they're being built, especially downtown.
Pueblo style.
Yeah. Okay. So I learned that there's two different styles of homes here. I already forgot. The Uber driver told me that downtown has to be all...
It's historic.
Yeah.
So that's the Pueblo style.
Pueblo. And then there's another style called, I forget.
I don't know. We'll have to ask the Uber driver.
I know. My Uber driver was telling me, oh, you can't have a home downtown if it's not in this style. And I'm like, oh, that's crazy because it's all historical.
Yes.
And
the thing to remember is that there's three cultures here.
Okay.
So we have the native culture.
Right.
We have the Hispanic culture, and we have the Anglo culture.
Anglo. Okay.
Yeah, that would be us white folks.
Us white folks.
But we're the last ones here.
That's fair. That's fair. But it's wonderful here. I absolutely love it. Mm-hmm. So you are the CEO of Assistant Dogs of the West.
Yes.
She's like, I want to go under the table again.
Well, that's her favorite spot is under.
I love it. I love it.
That is actually a cue that we teach.
Oh, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
Your dogs are all very well trained.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to ask you, how did your organization get started and what inspired its founding?
So Jill Felice is our founder, and she was actually married to a very famous movie producer, and she kind of came to this crossroads in her life where she was either going to stay in the movie industry and lose her marriage, or she was going to go to Bergen University, which is the service dog training school in California, and lose her marriage.
Wow. both ending the marriage.
And she just knew like the movie life was not for her.
Yeah.
And so she went to Bergen University, and Bonnie Bergen is the person who first kind of originated service dog training with dogs. She saw donkeys helping people in Mexico.
Oh, wow.
And thought, we could train canines. And so Jill went to Bergen, and she started out with one dog, one person.
Yeah.
Which in our administration office, I'll show you the photograph later of her with her first client.
That's awesome.
So that's how she started. And then I joined her in 2006. She gave me a chance. I wasn't a dog trainer and I wasn't an educator. Ridiculousness. She said, tell her she has to volunteer 2 days a week. Mm-hmm. And that's what I did. And that's how I learned. And in 2010, we started to hear about these facility dogs that were working in the investigation and prosecution of crime.
Oh, wow.
And so we expanded our reach and started to do courthouse facility dogs. And then in maybe 3 years later, in 2012, our executive director left. And because I'm a museum professional and was in senior management in the museum field.
Oh, wow.
when our executive director left, everybody kind of looked at me and I was like, okay, I'll do it for 6 months. That was 2011. And so Jill and I started to explore other opportunities that, here it's people come up with really innovative ideas
Right.
of how to use professional canines. And we try to say yes before we say no. So then the FBI came to us like in 2013.
Oh, wow.
And we placed the first crisis response canines in 2015.
Holy cow.
And so Jill and I placed those dogs at headquarters. They're on the rapid deployment team when a mass violence incident happens, like the Las Vegas concert shooting, Uvalde, Pulse nightclub, all of those.
Wow.
They were just deployed to Utah. So they work with professionals in the investigation and prosecution of crime. But the crisis response canines, there is a consortium of people that are assembled at family assistance centers.
Yeah.
And the dogs go to help.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I love that you're not just, because when you think of assistant dogs, sometimes you think of like medical assistants.
Yes.
This is way broader than that.
Way broader.
That is amazing. So what would you say that your core missions or philosophies are that guides your work?
So we have a deep, abiding respect for the amazing intelligence and willingness of the dogs.
Mm-hmm.
And so our mission is to provide dogs in many different areas that help people become more independent, more fluid, more able to do their desired work. One of the people who will be with us for our graduation, he's here now. He's a resource officer for 8 elementary schools.
Okay.
And he was a police officer. He is a police officer and worked as a police officer until 7 years ago when he decided that he wanted to spend the second half of his career helping kids.
Right.
And so he has our dog Barney, and they visit all the elementary schools every single day. And he said like 5 de-escalations a week.
Really?
So kids are afraid to come to school. They're afraid of being shot. They're depressed.
I would have never thought about a service dog being used for that.
Those are facility dogs. So service dog, just so we're, we have a commonality of language. Service dog is really for a person with a disability, a medical need, PTSD, combat injury, anywhere where a dog, we call it one dog, one person.
Mm-hmm.
And so anywhere where a professional canine can actually provide a greater sense of independence.
That's why you're called assistant dogs of the West, not service dogs of the West.
Yeah. So
I completely get that. Yeah.
So that's one dog, one person. And then our one dog, many people is how we go about it. Those are our facility dogs, which work in many different areas. We have peer support canines for first responders.
Yeah.
We have dogs working in special victim advocacy. Anyway, you keep asking me questions.
No.
I can talk the windows out of
I
the
love
house.
it. So tell me about if you want to place a dog in a certain position, how do you know if the dog's going to make the cut?
At any given time, we have 35, 40 dogs in training.
Mm-hmm.
We don't ever force a dog to be a work dog.
Right.
So first, they're born at our puppy enrichment center. And they're born, everybody always asks us, when do you start training? They're born into human hands. And so at the puppy enrichment center, they have a very age-specific, science-based protocol of exposure. By the time they're 5 weeks old, they sit and wait for their food. They're crate trained. They're toilet trained. So they go through this whole process. Around 10 or 12 weeks old, they go through a temperament scoring test which has lots of different stations, so to speak. They might hit a scent sample. There's a person sitting in the middle of the room. They might run up and sit in front of the person. There's a big full-size stuffy. They might run up and, sniff the stuffy, all different kinds of things. Not good dog, bad dog. It's how fast do you move? Are you careful with your body? Do you have like drive? So that gives us a hint as to what might be appropriate for them in terms of their career.
Right.
Any dog that really the exposure to the outside world is too much for them, we're okay with that. You don't have to be, we don't force dogs into being work dogs.
Right.
And so if that particular temperament doesn't have the desire or the ability to be a work dog, we're good with that.
Right.
It's rare, but it does happen. So Jill has been in partnership with one of the top Labrador breeders in the country. And we've had a partnership with her for, it's going on 20 years now. 50% of temperament is genetics.
It is.
So we breed for a very specific temperament. And so our success rate is very, very high.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So how long does it take normally to complete a training and be paired with a handler?
Somewhere between 18 months and 2 years.
Sounds about right.
1,500 to 2,000 hours of professional training.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. So we talked about how you kind of match each dog to their job. Let's go into what kind of preparation or training does the human have to go through?
That's a really good question, too. You have great questions.
Thank you.
So the dogs know, most of the dogs know 90 cues. And you'll notice that I don't say commands.
Yeah, why is that?
Because we don't boss our dogs around.
I love that.
We're partnership trainers. And so we work in partnership with our canines. And so they know 90 cues. If they're going to a person with a disability or a medical need, we do sniffer dogs for diabetic alert and for seizure response.
Mm-hmm.
So depending on where the career of the dog gets to choose their careers and gets to choose their people. Talk about that a little later.
Yeah.
So if they choose to do those jobs, those are really specialized tasks that above and beyond the other cues that they know, they have that very specialized training. And so I've now forgotten your question.
Oh, I was just going to say
off track.
What kind of preparation does the human have to go through?
Oh, right.
Because I know that sometimes you give a dog off to someone as a handler, and if they don't know exactly what they're doing, they can untrain the dog.
Oh, for sure. Really quick too.
Very quick. I train hunting dogs part-time.
So there you go.
It was very apparent to me where I'd have the dog at a certain point and then I'd pass it on to somebody else. I'd get the dog back. I'm like, what happened?
Yes. So they go through client placement training. It's a series of videos all about different aspects of canine, from nutrition to nature versus nurture.
Oh, wow. In depth. I love it.
So they have to first go through all their video. Our trainers create those segments. And then they come and they work with our trainers. Sometimes they come here. When we do facility dogs, because every facility is different, we have 78 courthouse facility dogs throughout the country.
Wow.
So every courthouse is different. Every district attorney's office is different. So we actually go on site and we train the people on site with their canines. They have already been through an extensive interview process here.
Right.
And we evaluate, like, what is their job? What is their needs? Are they a motivator or are they a manager?
Mm-hmm.
Also, like, are they body aware or not body aware? We look at all those things. How does a person learn?
Mm-hmm.
And so they go through a very extensive training. We also stay with the team for the life of the team. So if they have a training protocol, either a new task that needs to be handled or drift in behavior,
Right.
we are always there to help.
Realign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, that's so important. Personally, what do you think is the most rewarding part about your work?
I have the privilege of working with the most extraordinary staff, and we get to hold a space for a more hopeful world because people have a desire to have professional canines that can do something that humans can't.
Right.
And I get to experience that on an ongoing basis, which is really amazing.
You're extremely blessed. I think that just in general, just because personally, I feel the same way working in dog food. The amount of people that call up and say like, your dog food saved my dog and made such a drastic life difference. I'm sure you experience that tenfold.
Yes.
With the dogs that you work with.
Yes.
And just the ability to work with dogs and bring a betterness to other people's lives is truly priceless.
Agreed.
I'm going to get emotional talking about
Me
it.
too. I always do. It's ridiculous.
So you talk about your staff. Like how does one create a staff? Because I've met your entire staff. They're wonderful people.
Mm-hmm.
How did you create that? How did you find the same like-minded, wonderful people?
I think, so there's a few things. One, we don't get blocked up with, do you have the experience?
Right.
Okay. I don't necessarily have to have somebody who is a slam dunk walking
Mhm.
through the door. I'd rather have somebody who has a lot of passion.
The willingness to learn.
Yes.
Mhm.
Because some of our dog trainers who are pet dog trainers, like in our world, their skill level is almost nothing. Yeah,
Mhm.
they know how to handle a leash, but in terms of precision, the difference is huge. And it can take them 1 to 2 years to really be fluent in the level of training that we require.
Right.
But somebody who has that desire,
Mhm.
we have people who can show you. Our Jill is a sensei when it comes to dog behavior, temperament, training, all of that.
Right.
She's remarkable. And so all of those various things, my right-hand person, Liz, we've worked together for 15 years, and she has had the space and the opportunity to grow because I saw her potential as a person who would be capable of managing,
Mhm.
and also a person who's very, very good with our clients.
Right.
And so giving people the opportunity and helping and nurturing them is how you create a really great staff. And we're not top down. Everybody here, from the person who answers the phone to the person who does the final placement, counts.
They do.
Our
Mhm.
product is a living, sentient being.
Mhm.
And so it's not grabbing something off a shelf.
Right.
So everybody counts. And so we don't have a top-down culture here.
Right. I love it. Just the energy when I came into this building, everyone is so humble and kind and generous and just amazing.
Thank you.
And you can tell that they all love what they do.
Thank you.
Of course. The company culture here is just incredible,
Thank you.
honestly. So what are some of the biggest challenges facing the service dog organizations today?
Being able to meet the need.
Yeah.
We have a waiting list always.
Always. Yeah. Because
Mhm.
I imagine the demand is so high, and to be doing exactly what you do is.
Yep. And I think that our humanness has been so beaten up that there are more people who really are in crisis. And so the need just keeps growing and growing,
Right.
whether it's for one dog, one person, or whether it's for people who, like I said, one of the dogs that's going to be placed soon is going to a hospital in Buffalo, because imagine doctors and nurses.
Right. Yeah.
And so we actually have a formal partnership with our hospital here.
Oh.
And we take our dogs. Our dogs go for the doctors and nurses, and the therapy dogs, which, we love our therapy dog partners, they go and visit the patients. And so, the need is great, and the innovation, when you have an open mind, is unlimited.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Wow. I love, you have great answers to these questions. I love it. How does your organization collaborate with others in the service dog community?
So we have been certified by Assistance Dogs International. This is our 15th year.
Wow.
So Assistance Dogs International is the international highest standard of practice within the industry. It's very hard to get certified, and we have to be recertified every 5 years. They can look at anything from my first aid kit to my board chair and anything in between, any training log, any food, anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's one piece of the puzzle, because we have an international community. And as you know, dog training evolves constantly, as we learn more, as our canine behaviorists, have greater tools at their disposal, just like the MRI for, that one dog, that dog that they were able to do an MRI without having to sedate. And they find out that, like, when somebody that they love walks into the room, the same areas of their brain lights up as ours.
Aww.
So, as all of that evolves, then the way that we go about training and placing and being with canines evolves as well.
Right.
So that's one thing. I'm a big partnership-based person. So, like I said, we have a formal partnership with our hospital, and that was created several years ago from our board chair, a very good friend of Jill and mine, who has gone, is passed. But we had that desire, and after it got stalled by COVID, and after COVID, I circled back around because I didn't want that to die.
Right.
We have a partnership with New Mexico School for the Deaf, with the Indian School, with Mariposa Montessori School. We do after-school programs, summer camp programs. We've been educating children with the dogs for almost 30 years.
Wow. So kind of ballparking in that same direction. Is there any one particular success story that stands out to you emotionally? I know you probably have so many. You're like, oh, this is like an everyday thing.
Well, I have to say that the genesis of the crisis response canines, which literally happened when we were at headquarters, when Jill and I were at headquarters, we were taking the handlers out for their first outing in public. And, headquarters, there's like 14,000 people in that building.
Right.
And we were going to the elevators, and one of the handlers said, these dogs should be called crisis response canines. And that was the genesis of that work, and what they are able to accomplish in a mass violence incident like at Uvalde. They did 33 forensic interviews with the children, and they helped 800 family members.
Wow.
And so I guess it's one of, because truly there are so many people who are doing incredible things. But that it changed the face of mass violence incidents, just like courthouse facility dogs changed the face of the investigation and prosecution of crime with special victims. Imagine being a child and having to sit on a witness stand, and the perpetrator is sitting there at the defense table.
So do they use the dog to like calm the person down?
The dog's in the witness box with the children.
Oh, that's wild.
Mm-hmm.
That would be, because every time I'm in a stressful situation, if I have my dog there and I just get to pet my dog, it calms you.
It's science.
It is. Do you know the scientific? Okay, share. I'd love to hear it.
Lowers your heart rate,
Mm-hmm.
lowers your blood pressure, lowers your cortisol levels, which is fight or flight,
Mm-hmm.
and increases your oxytocin, which is our human bonding hormone. So that's, that's a mother and child. That's our family members when we're in the presence of someone that we love, very much including our animals. Our oxytocin levels go up.
Yeah.
So you and I are sitting in a room. My beautiful dog is under the table because that's her favorite spot, is in an under. She either likes to be under your legs or under the table.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's calm. We've been with canines for 30,000 years or more. Nobody really knows exactly. And so you and I, all of those things have happened because this dog is not on alert. So just being in the presence, not even touching a canine, being in the presence, all those science things happen.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I mean, I feel it right now, just having a dog in the room. I bring my dogs to work every day.
Good.
And I feel like on days where I don't bring them in, I'm more stressed. And then I'm like, dang, I should have brought my dogs in. And they're so funny. They're so quiet. They sleep underneath my desk or my coworker Celia's desk. And I'm ashamed to admit they're so quiet that I've left work a couple of times and had to go back up and remember that they're still there because they're just so unnoticeable. They're just such good dogs. Yeah. They're labs as well.
Awesome.
Which I should ask. I know that the majority of training that you do is with labs, correct?
Yes. And so there's a reason for that.
Yeah, explain.
So the Labrador, so we always say if you want like that, the highest intellectual quotient, you get the German Shepherd, the Belgian Malinois, the Doberman.
Mm-hmm.
You want the highest emotional quotient, you get the Labrador.
Mm-hmm.
And so because we do work with people, one dog, one person, if you're a person in a wheelchair and you had, a Rottie or a Doberman or a Shepherd beside your wheelchair, it's highly unlikely that somebody's going to come up and engage in a conversation.
Yeah.
But if you have a beautiful Labrador, it helps to make that bridge because people who have disabilities are often marginalized.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's very true.
Yeah. And so they're our ambassadors.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's...
I completely agree. Who doesn't love a good lab?
I don't know.
Everywhere.
They would be suspect in my world.
I know. My dog too, I swear. Because even like my mailman will show up to my door and my dogs do alert if someone comes to the door.
Of course. Yes.
That's their job. They get
Agreed.
up, they'll bark like once or twice. And I opened the door and the guy was like, oh, I thought it was some big scary dog, but it's a lab. And I was like, well, he is kind of big and scary.
Yeah,
and he's
right.
like, no. I know. And he looks and he's like, it's a lab. And he sits there and pets and he's like, what's his name? And all these things. I'm like, oh my gosh. If I ever got robbed, I swear I would be SOL.
Yeah, right.
My dogs, I've actually done that with friends. I'm like, why don't you run through my door and break in? I want to see if my dogs will defend me. No, they're not defending.
No.
Labs are not the defending type.
No.
I thought it was funny. My friend jumped in and like grabbed me and I was screaming, help, help. And my lab's licking his leg. I'm like, come on. That's not cool.
And plus they know that you were not, that was not for real.
I know. I'm sure.
Sorry.
I was trying to play it off like it was real.
Forget it.
But I just
smarter
think,
than that.
I just think it's so funny. They're just, no one's a stranger. They will come up and wag their tail and lick and so friendly.
Understood.
They're so friendly.
Yes.
Which I love the labs.
Yes.
I also have a dachshund.
Adorable. Probably bosses the labs around.
She does.
Mm-hmm.
She's like,
I have a 5-pound cat that bosses the dogs around.
that is so funny. And labs just let them do it too. They're like, yeah, whatever. Mm-hmm. They're just so content and chill with anything. Mm-hmm. And I think that it's just the unwavering love and affection, and they're always willing to please.
Yes.
And they're obsessed with like just their person.
Yes.
I swear.
Yeah. I've raised 80 to 100 labs.
So many.
Here.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And everybody says, I mean, this is the question we all get asked all the time. How do you give them up?
It's so hard.
No.
I think it is.
They're not our dogs.
They're so sweet.
They're our dogs to help grow and nurture and love. But a piece of us and a piece of them remains theirs.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we see them, they get to pick their people.
Aww.
And I can give you an example of that.
Yes.
So they get to pick their people. And when we see that they've picked their person, they get to pick their job and they get to pick their people. So when we see that, it's so thrilling because they kind of go like, hey, thanks for bringing me up. See you later.
Aww.
So I'll tell you a little story about this first lab that I ever took home. Beautiful little chocolate lab with yellow eyes. Super, super smart. Bonnie.
Aww.
And so Bonnie would go into an interview and she would say, oh, okay, Molly, well, I'll sit for you. I'll stay for you. I'll come to you. You're really boring. And she'd put herself in a crate. It was embarrassing.
Gosh.
She put herself in a crate and we'd go like, well, she's been in our kids program today and she's tired this afternoon and blah, 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 blah. Bonnie would go to interview after interview. Hi, how you doing? I'll sit for you. I'll down for you. I'll come to you. You're really boring. Put herself in a crate.
That's so funny.
So we had this little boy come in with his dad and he had autism and he's not gone. He has a hearing deficit. He's not deaf, but he has a hearing deficit. So he heard her name as Pony instead of Bonnie. And so they came in and, of course, the dad was going to be the handler. And she sat in front of him and she was like, you are fascinating. You know, his language cadence was different. Yeah. His way of going about in the world was different. And she loved him.
Oh.
And so they went away because his dad is an instructor of ski instructors.
Yeah.
And so they would go to Taos for the winter and his dad would do his skiing thing. And, you know, Bonnie would meet person after person. I'll sit for you. I'll down for you. I'll stay for you. Put herself in a crate.
Oh.
And so we didn't know whether they were coming back or not. But sure enough, when the winter season was over, they got back in touch with us. And of course, the little boy asked his dad and said, I wonder if Pony's still there. And his dad said, well, you know, she's pretty special. I don't know. And of course, Bonnie was waiting for him. Oh. And so they were matched. And when the dad came for the first day of client placement training, the little boy had gotten himself dressed by himself for the first time in his life.
Oh.
And so they were together for like 13 years.
That's so beautiful. That's going to make me cry. That is so amazing.
They're very clear about that. And
I think it's so funny that they choose.
They do.
Who they like and who they don't like.
And they get to choose their career.
That's amazing.
You don't have to be a mobility dog if you don't want to be a mobility dog.
That's so important though, because I totally get it. I've had hunting dogs that I've trained where it's like their heart's not in the hunting side, but then they get around kids and they're so great around kids. I'm like, this is going to be a family dog. This has to be a family dog.
Yes.
It's not going to be a hunting dog.
Yes. Exactly.
And I've let people know that. I'm like, this is not the dog that you think it's going to be. It's got to go somewhere else.
Yep.
And they accept it. They're like, okay, well, I want a hunting dog. I'm like, well, you are not going to get that with this dog. This dog loves babies and children and
doesn't have any prey drive.
No. And you will throw a bumper all day and they will look at it and be like, okay.
Yeah.
And you will have to practically beg the dog to go retrieve it.
Exactly.
I was like, so I completely understand that. Dogs know who their people are and who.
Yes. Yes. And consequently, our success rate is very, very high. It's like 90.
Because you breed for it. Yeah.
98%. I mean, I I can't, I mean, the last dog that I can think we got back is because the person had to move into assisted living. And so she was a seizure response dog. And so we got her back when she was like 10.
Oh my goodness.
Well, it's okay. We have a very good friend of the agency who's like our doula for the elders. She loves the elders. And so she actually gave the dog wonderful, wonderful end of life for a couple years.
Mm-hmm. That's so important.
Mm-hmm.
So I have another question for you. Mm-hmm. So how we got in connection, how did you find Voyager?
I didn't find Voyager. Trisha did.
Yeah, we had a conversation out there.
So I'm sorry. I can't. That's one question you've thrown to me that I can't answer.
Oh, no, that's completely fine.
But I know that she did a lot of research.
Yeah. Maybe I can give you some information about it.
You probably can.
Yeah. So we started Voyager actually because my family dog died of copper storage disease.
Uh-huh.
Horrible disease. Most dog foods, they add in chelated coppers in their food. Like the same chemical that they used to kill pond algae. They put in dog food, which is wild. Mm-hmm. My dad, who's a veterinarian, he's been a vet for over 50 years. And he was like, why did this dog die? I have no idea. Because he kept diagnosing different things like liver cancer, all this stuff. And he was like, I just don't know why this dog passed away. So he did a liver biopsy on the dog, found out that she had crazy high levels of copper, and found out, okay, it's actually because of the food we're feeding her. So he called all these dog food companies, said, take it out of the food, take it out of the food. And they were like, nope, we're not going to do that.
Well, and why do they put it even in? Just as a filler?
So they actually started doing it in the 80s.
Yeah, I believe that.
Because they wanted to make pigs grow faster in factory farm animal settings. And so it's great for factory farm animals because they're going to market in a year, you know? But it's like your dog's living 10, 15 years. Why would you put that chemical in their food? And I think it's a misstep from AFCO, the American Association of Feed Control Officers. And so my dad made an oath when he became a veterinarian that he would leave the industry better than when he found it. And he takes that oath very seriously.
Good.
And he says all the time, and he says it to me, he said, Molly, the only thing you will take to your grave is integrity.
I love your dad.
Yeah, he's a wonderful, he gives some good advice.
That's a really good one. Just
not dating advice. He gives bad dating advice. Dating advice is there's only two boys in the world, and there's bad boys and good actors.
He's not far off.
I know. And I was like, which one are you, Dad? He goes, I'm a good actor. I was like, good to know. He's funny. He's a great guy. Mm-hmm. But he says you do everything in this life with integrity. Mm. And if you don't do anything with integrity, you're not living your fullest life. So
agreed.
He created Voyager dog food in hopes that his clients, our dogs, obviously some dogs here at your facility have healthy, long-lasting lives.
Yes, and we had a breeding situation where that gene was passed along.
Right. Because Labradors are most predisposed to it.
Well, and and we work with outside breeders, obviously, because you can't keep inbreeding your lines.
Right.
And so that particular stud dog was not tested for that. And so it was just one of those unfortunate circumstances. And so so Jill has the big science gene and Trisha has the big research gene.
Yeah.
And so the two of them, that's how they found you. You know, Jill did a lot of research and we found out that food is incredibly important. And like just kind of cancels things out as long as you're like aware. And we are fortunate to have partners in the canine industry, both for integrative care. We do a lot of integrative care, and also to be able to know what are the really good sources. Yeah. Because they're mindful, and as soon as some terrific brand of food gets sold to a big conglomerate, we know that it's no longer small manufacturing that's watched, and it's going to go down.
It's very interesting. We
Yes,
see
it
that
is.
every year. My
Yes.
coworker and I, we go to like the Global Pet Food or the Global Pet Expo and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy when we go there and we find out who's getting sold to who. And then almost immediately their ingredients change.
Yeah.
I'm
And
like, why? Why would you? Don't break something or don't fix something that's not broken.
well,
You know?
we know why.
Yeah. It's whatever's
we're not
cheaper, easier.
We're not maximizing quality. We're maximizing profit. So
Which is so sad because at the end of the day, I would want to give my dog the longest, healthiest, happiest life possible. I would do anything for my dog.
of course.
And it's not just you want a dog, you want that dog.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah.
So we're very grateful that we have a partnership with you.
I'm so grateful that we have a partnership with you. I love it. I love the work that you do here. I think it's beautiful.
Thank you.
So wrapping it up.
Yes, ma'am.
What drew you personally to this line of work, and where do you hope that the Assistant Dogs of the West ends up future wise?
Okay, I'm going to tell you a funny little story.
Okay.
I was a museum professional for 30 years.
I know, that's so a polar opposite.
Not really, because what drew me to that field is that I feel that beauty is a part of the human experience, and I had the privilege of making beauty accessible in a really major way.
Yeah.
So that people, rather than being intimidated by museums, would be able to be embraced by the museum experience. So I came here because I wanted to come here for years and years and years. I finally got here and I worked at the O'Keeffe Museum. And I had a St. Bernard at the time. And yes, she was beautiful. And so she went to daycare at this wonderful small facility, a private person. And we became friends. And like 3 months later, she said, oh, there's a fundraiser at CCA, which is one of our theaters here, for Assistance Dogs of the West. Come with me. And I said, okay. And so it was called the Pet Monologues. And so 5 people told the stories about their pets. You know, one was a King Charles Spaniel, one was a buffalo. This woman had Charlie the buffalo. You know, various different animals, and the last one was really good friends with Jill and her husband Roelof, and he and another fellow had been climbing Everest, and they were caught in an avalanche and almost froze to death.
Oh my goodness. And
so he told the story of riding his Spanish Mustang when he was delusional from being, buried. He told the story of riding his Spanish Mustang. And then he lost a lot of digits and had many operations in order to function at an extremely high level. And so he told the story of being down on the plaza. And at the time, Jill only had one staff person. And he saw that person, and she had a dog, Abby, by her side. And the dog jumped through the window and sat on the shotgun seat.
Oh.
And so that became his service dog. And it was so powerful. I turned to my friend and I said, I'm going to work for them one day. The most ridiculous sentence out of my mouth ever.
You spoke it into reality.
I did. And then I had volunteered to do some work for one of the Carl societies here.
Okay.
And the head of the head of the board took me out to lunch to thank me. I volunteered my time. Took me out to lunch to thank me, and he said, what are you doing? I had left the O'Keeffe at that time. And he said, what are you doing? And I told him. And I said, oh, but I want to do something so different. And he said, well, what's that? And I said, I want to work for Assistance Dogs of the West. And so then he mentioned the current executive director, and he said, do you know this person? And I said, well, I don't know her, but I've been to every graduation since I've been here. And he said, well, she's one of our best friends. I'll call her. And so he did. He called her that afternoon, and she called me that afternoon. And we set up an appointment. It was a Friday. We set up an appointment for a Tuesday. And so she said, well, you know, we don't hire people like you. Like, you're not a dog trainer. You're not an educator, because we have all these education programs.
Right.
And I looked her straight in the eye and I said, you want to hire me?
Mm-hmm.
And so she said, well, I have to ask Jill. And Jill said, tell her she has to volunteer 2 days a week for a year. And so I said yes. And, you know, I made grown-up money. So that was 1/3 of my earning power. I volunteered for a year. And at the end of the year, I asked them, I said, you know, they were giving staff reviews. I said, I want to review, you know, I want to know how I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of my review, they said, well, we want you to jump in with both feet. And I'm like, what does that mean? And they said, we want you to work here.
Oh,
And so that's how it happened.
that's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
So where do you hope that the organization goes future-wise?
I hope that it can, I think the size, Jill and I talk about this quite a bit. We feel that the size is appropriate. We get pressured sometimes to grow it bigger.
Sometimes quality is better than quantity.
Right. And so the combination of excellence and also our being able to have real-time involvement with the dogs rather than like just being in front of a computer or something, that means a lot to us. So I would like to see it maintain its high standard of quality and empathy and compassion and goodness.
I love that. So this is another question. Do you guys normally get most of your money from donations, or is it?
We have a combination. We have earned income, and we have government contracts. We have grants, and we have donations.
Okay.
So we are very, very serious about our fiscal responsibility. My board treasurer, is president of a national bank.
Okay.
And he is also chair of my finance committee. So I wish we could have another moniker besides nonprofit, which is only a tax status. We would never in a million years end up in the red. That would be a disgrace.
Right.
And so we run our agency like a business. It is a business.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
If anybody wanted to come help the Assistant Dogs of the West or donate, where would they go?
Our website,
which is
assistancedogsofthewest.org. There are volunteer application. We have an incredible volunteer coordinator who you met this morning,
Yes.
who is also a volunteer.
Yeah.
She has 120 volunteers.
Wow.
Yeah, because she's amazing.
Yeah. Everyone in your staff's amazing.
Thank you. So volunteer application is on the website. Donate is on the website. So
beautiful.
And people can always call our office as well.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you,
today.
Molly.
Oh,
I'm
my
so happy to
goodness.
meet you. Thank you.
I'm so happy to meet you. You seriously, your stories are amazing. Let's get some outro music going. Well, thank you all for joining us today, and we hope to catch you on the next episode of Off Leash. Remember, always treat the treatable and prevent the preventable, and we will catch you on the next one.